With us now are Bernadeane, Jim Strole and Neal VanDeRee. A pleasure to have you with us today.
Nice to be with you.
Thank you, Richard. Nice being with you.
Very interesting topic that you're all involved with, and you've been writing and lecturing, and you have this organization in Scottsdale. Tell us a little bit about it, please.
Yes, we're a community out there of about 150 people, and we are people from all over the world that gather together twice a week, and then once a month we have a weekend event. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's a great experiencing with one another because we're all experiencing that we're physically immortal right now. We're not trying to be, we're not trying to get there or become physically immortal. It's who we are already.
Fascinating. Jim, you've written extensively on this topic. Tell us about it.
Well, yes, like Bernie said, our main topic is creating community, an environment that's conducive to people living forever. In fact, Neal's been there. We had him speak there a couple months ago and did a really good job. And we have people that are really dedicated to being radically alive. And that's a real key thing. They not only just are thinking of it as a philosophy, they are dedicated to living a lifestyle that's radically alive. And that's what Bernie means by saying that we're physically immortal now. We're not trying to get there. We become creators then of our own destiny. We feel we're innately alive people, but we've suppressed that aliveness. And this is what we write on a lot. I've written a book called Living Without Death, and what that means. It's all about living daily without death in your life. For example, not buying a grave plot and saying you're going to live forever. You're fooling yourself if you do that. You can fool your mind sometimes, but you can't fool the intelligence of your whole body. Your body is saying at the same time, hey, that's not going to happen if you go out and buy a grave plot and you say you're going to live forever. So this is part of the dynamics that we work with every day, is changing people's programming. We feel people are programmed, a deep program to death. Longevity calls it a trance of death. Leonard Orr calls it a death urge that's deeply ingrained in the body. And so what we are about is changing that death urge, changing that programming within the body. And it takes a very intense dynamics to do that. It takes getting people involved on a deeper level than just most people get involved in changing their lives on a daily basis. We as human beings get into very deep habits. We're habitual creatures by nature. Even though sometimes we see something better for ourselves and something we really want to have in our lives, it's hard to change those patterns. And Neal and I were talking about that on the way over here today, how deeply people get ingrained in their lifestyles or their patterns. It's hard for them to change into something new, even if they like it.
Now, this is a fascinating topic, and I know, Neal,
if I can, Richard.
Certainly, go ahead.
What Bernadeane is saying is that we're alive now. We can be immortal now. And recently they've discovered that there's an aging gene, and if they can switch off the aging gene, everything else in the body goes on. There is no aging, and therefore you can defeat death in this way. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of advancements here in the very near future in this arena.
Astonishing, this whole topic. And Neal, you've traveled the world, you've lectured here and there, and you were particularly impressed by these people in Scottsdale. Tell us about it.
Yes, the group in Scottsdale that they have is very passionate, very alive, very embracing, wonderful group of people, and they meet, as I understand, twice a week. They get together to reaffirm their belief in the conquering of death, or rather just to live, not so much conquering of death, but to be in a state of mind and a state of body of physical immortality where they're not going to die.
What would you add to this?
What would I add to that? Well, really, you know, for me, it's like I had to close all the doors to death, all of them. And that means, like Jim mentioned, not purchasing a grave plot. What I'm doing is I'm preparing to live. I am not preparing to die. Everything I do is about staying here, about not leaving, not giving up. I find such a joy, and actually being around a lot of people that feel the same way, there's a power in that. And it does something physically to us. I experience that all the time when I'm with people who we're enthused. It's like we're inspired. There's an inspiration that comes from the gut. And it causes the whole body to go where we never would go just on our own. I'm not enough for me. I need to be with other people who are like me. not the same as me as a personality, but we have the same goal in mind. We're here to put away anything, do away with anything that destroys the physical body. And so it's exciting.
And joy plays a big part of that, like Bernie said. I mean, sometimes when you're striving for something new, for change, you can get so serious about it, and it is serious work. Radical Life Extension, it's serious work, and we're serious about it. But that doesn't mean you can't have a lot of joy doing it. And it's very important. Sometimes we leave joy out of our lives, and that's what we're engaged in also in Scottsdale. And the message we want to send to everybody in the world is, look, let's work together for this purpose. Let's have a lot of joy doing it. It's a very serious, very dynamic, very important work. It's probably the greatest step for humankind that we've ever made. It's so huge in perspective, it's hard for some people to even grasp that right now. But we're getting out a new message of this all the time, and how important it is for people to embrace being radically alive. What does it mean, radically alive? It just means extending your life as long as you want to do it in a healthy method, in a healthy way with vitality and total possibilities of great health, endurance. I mean, who wouldn't want that, really? But sometimes we get afraid of things that are really great for us because we don't know what they're really about. It's the unknown. But this is a wonderful world we're entering into. We're talking about ending suffering in this world. We're talking about stopping death of the ones we love. Instead of being the enemy of one another, we shouldn't be fighting each other. We should be fighting death on this planet. And when everybody would get this message, this is a good way, too, to stop the conflict and wars on this planet. Because in the body, there's a death urge to destroy ourselves and one another. People don't know what to do with it. We should be destroying our enemy, death, not each other. We're not each other's enemy.
A fascinating topic, and in the history of the search for the fountain of youth throughout centuries, this probably is the most exciting time ever. Neal, what are your thoughts on that?
It is, Richard. You know, over the past millennia, so many people have wanted to live forever, but lacked the opportunity to do so due to the scientific knowledge, the information that we have. Now, at this time, we are developing, we are discovering many different things that we can use to further our life, and we will have that within our lifetimes. We will see the opportunity. So people will then have the opportunity to live forever, not to die. And people can then choose, do they wish to die, or do they wish to embrace this concept and this ability to extend lives radically into the future.
Now, right here in this establishment, we've heard lectures by stem cell experts and cryonicists and so forth, so many different areas of technology and interest. What are your thoughts with regard to technology and your goals?
Well, I think it's fantastic. I mean, I'm excited because when I first started speaking, Bernadeane and I, in 1971, I was like 22 years old. I started speaking on radical life extension, physical mortality. There was no science. I mean, there was no one even talking about longevity at that time, and we were really considered crazy, you know. But I had a feeling about it myself, and Bernadeane did too. You know, when I was 10 years old, I asked my mother, I said, why do we have to die to go to heaven? Why can't we have heaven here on earth? And so I'm excited today that there's so much coming out now in science. I mean, it's confirming what I've felt in my own person all this time. And it's exciting to meet people who are sharing this same passion. And I'm just out to embrace everything that enhances our lives. That's what we're doing. We're talking about being more and more alive all the time. I think it's Ray Kurzweil that said, live long enough to live forever. I think that was him, wasn't it?
Dr. Albert DeGray.
Oh, Albert DeGray.
Yes.
Okay, that's right. And so that's really what it's about too, is living long enough to live forever. Every time, as long as you live, you extend your life another decade. There's new advancements in chemistry, new advancements in science, and we find new ways to stay alive. New advancements emotionally, psychologically, sociologically, to advance ourselves as human beings. And it's exciting. There's every moment. Some people say to me, "Wow, living forever, that would be boring." I can't understand that at all. I mean, their lives must be pretty boring right now. So I'm excited. This is just wonderful. Bernie and I are really excited about everything coming out.
How do you disseminate your views? You lecture locally, well, throughout the United States, I presume, and you've also written about this. Tell us about the dissemination of your subject matter.
Well, you mean how it came about totally?
How you publicize your views?
Yeah, well, we do streaming of all of our events, for one thing, that we have. They're live streaming. We travel all over the world. We've gone into 26 different countries, speaking on immortality and radical life extension. We've been in all kinds of events throughout the United States and toured the United States. We've written a book, like I said, called Living Without Death. We've been on TV shows throughout all United States, all throughout the United States and the world for that matter. So we're just spreading the word every way we can.
Yeah, because when I first heard about physical immortality, it was in 1961. And I experienced right then, that's who I am. Something about that really felt good. And the more that we have moved in this area, the more enlightenment is coming. The more science is becoming aware. Scientists are beginning to search out the body living forever. For me, it's like I am not going to die. And there are some people right now that are not going to see death. And it's pretty amazing. I think there's so much to discover about the physical body. We've always denied the magnificence of what the physical body is, and it is magnificent. But we've so denied it, like it's nothing. From dust it came, to dust it returns, and that's where I think we have really missed something. And so everything that science comes up with, or the medical world, that's going to benefit the physical body, we all need to be partakers of it, because after all, it's what we're about. It's what we're going for. Right now, I'm eating better food than I used to eat. I take vitamins. I exercise. I do a lot of things that are really charge me up to live greater than ever. I don't have this depressed feeling about being alive. I think it's very interesting to be alive. There's so much to learn. There's so much to get in touch with. There's so much fun to be had. Why can't we have fun? I mean, most people live a life every day that's pretty, it's not as good as it could be. And we have to keep making it better. We're the creators. We're in charge. We're in charge of what happens to us. And so,
That's great.
Yeah, we're in charge, totally. And if we're not, then we're not going anywhere anyway, no matter who creates what for the physical body. If we're not in charge with that and don't put it into manifestation, we will just keep fading away.
I think that's a key thing, to get people to really realize that they're in charge of their own lives. They're in charge of their own destiny. In my experience, most people don't realize that, one level or another. And it's powerful when you get in touch with it. You're in charge. Mm-hmm. We are architects of a new life together. And there's a power of being together. There's a power of working together for that purpose. And that's what we experience too. That's another reason why we're moving out just from our Scottsdale arena to find other people, like we found Neal and others that share this same passion for life. And there's a power in that. There's a power in togetherness, no matter where we come from in our thoughts about radical life extension or what our ideas might be. Sometimes they might be very different. But that doesn't matter. We share that same common purpose, that same common passion for life, and that's why we need to be working together and creating a whole new paradigm.
What an inspiring philosophy. But there's some exceptions to the rule. There are some individuals who just don't have the lifestyle capability of having as much fun. For example, I don't want to point fingers and mention names, but Neal VanDeRee right here works 23 hours a day, and how can he possibly do all the things he does and be consistent with your philosophy?
Well, we had some fun with him in Scottsdale.
Well, let me chime in here for a minute. You know, I do work round the clock, and I do it because I enjoy it, because I love it, because I believe in it.
Right.
And that's, I think, the same for Bernadeane and Jim.
Right.
We believe and love what we do in working with people and bringing people to the light, to the concept of immortality or living for long periods of time, never dying. Yeah. And this is our passion. So
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. It's not necessarily going down to the corner pub to party. I mean, I'm excited and get my joy out of being right here. We were very excited to come here. There's nothing more joyful than expanding this life. And are we able to have good humor and laugh about it at the same time? Yes, I think that's important. Are we able to sometimes make mistakes and laugh about that? Yes. But more important than that, we're able to really be engaged in what we think is vital. I'm so lucky, I feel, so fortunate to be engaged in what my passion is, what I really feel. And that's exciting and that's joyful.
And you know, Richard, anyone that is working, doing something that they hate to do, they get up in the morning, they despise going to work, they hate being there, they don't want to be there, they shouldn't do that.
No.
They should get out of that job, they should get out of that lifestyle and get into something it does. And there's so much that they can do, and they can really contribute to humanity. And if they get out of those jobs that they hate and get into something they love, they're going to excel at it and do it so much better and love their life and love what they're working at.
Yes, I think there's a lot of image around having fun. There's a lot of image, and for me, I'm busy a lot. I work a lot, but I have this song in my heart. I've got a joy in my belly, and it's like that. That's all the time, and I'm not into retiring. I think the minute we stop moving our bodies and stop expanding our intellect and our creativity, we're done. For me, retirement is against the rules, if there are any rules.
Well, I think we all run into people all the time that say to us, oh, they can't wait till Friday. You know, they're at the beginning of the week, and then on the weekends they go out and they party and many times make themselves sick, and then they go back on a job they hate. They pick up all kinds of other patterns that are trying to just fill up their lives with something that's meaningful, and that's no way of life. That's what kills the human body. Put the human body in an environment that's really conducive to living, watch what happens. It's amazing. The creativity that happens, the productivity. It's fabulous, and this is what we're engaged in doing, is trying to do and are creating that type of environment in this world.
Such an optimistic and inspiring subject matter. Neal, before we conclude, what are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with Jim and Bernadeane here. The reality is, around the country, around the world, there are groups of people talking about this, talking about living long, extended lives. And all of these people need to come together. Everyone, all of us, need to get together and work on this to make sure this happens, to ensure that we do this. And together we can prevail.
Well, I'd like to thank you all very, very much for being here right now. This is very interesting and very inspiring. I'm sure our audience is going to be delighted to see you again on future programs. Thank you, Bernadeane. Jim.
Thank you, Richard.
And Neal. I'll be right back.